for this minute. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages on the Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moore. It's always a pleasure coming your way. So Inside Pages today is looking at two very important issues that have come up in the course of the week as we do Inside Pages, which is Inside the Pages. It's not the issue or it's not about the perspective. It's not about the issue, but the perspectives that we're looking at it from. And that's what differentiates us from what competition is doing. So on Inside Page this morning, there's a big debate as to whether indeed this whole annual ritual of increasing public sector wages by 10%, whether or not there's productivity, is something that we need to take a critical look at. So every year we say cost of living has gone up, and so public sector workers must enjoy a certain amount of increase in their pay, regardless of whether they are being productive or not. It's something that has really become a big issue. Now, this follows the announcement recently, a couple of days ago, by the president and the Labour that public sector workers are to enjoy a hike of 10% in their salary. Then there's also been a 15-point-something% increase in the base pay. But that in itself has created some mixed reaction in the public. Some say it's a good move, some also say it's not a good move, but that it must be tied to productivity. So we'll have a very interesting conversation on the back of that. And also, the directive by the Chief of Staff, the Honorable Julius Deborah, that public sector appointments or recruitments that were made post 7th December should all be annulled or should all be terminated, still appears to be a big issue within the public, within the media discussion. And the latest is that the former vice president and also the former presidential candidate of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has waded into this discussion and is asking the president to rescind and to reverse the decision, because the president must be seen to be creating jobs and not taking away people's source of livelihood. And so that then adds more weight to the discussion, isn't it? And so we're looking at that matter again quite closely here on Inside Pages. When I come back, I'll be introducing my resource persons, and then we'll give you a bit of more we'll give you some more background to the two issues that we intend to talk about. So stay with us.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe. Yum.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Look around. Home also need a makeover. Mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Merchant furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just a breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
A table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
One upgrade is nice, but a double upgrade is amazing. And that's how we do it. Upgrade today to get even more with Step Up. If you're on GoTV Max and upgrade to GoTV Super, you'll get way more with GoTV Super Plus.
It's so cool!
Get big value. Get big entertainment.
Very good.
Perfect! Upgrade and get even more with GoTV.
Man.
GoTV. Love it. All right, you're watching Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Audu Moro. Now, I did indicate to you that we have two very important discussions to have, or conversations to have this morning on the show. Well, the first one has to do with the directive by the Chief of Staff, Julius Debrah, that all public sector appointments and recruitments that were made after December 7, 2024 be annulled. Because of non-compliance with good governance practices and principles. And we're going to be showing you that letter addressed to all heads of government institutions and cited here by Metro TV. It says revocation of appointments and recruitments made after the 7th of December 2024. And it says consistent with government pronouncement in relation to near end of tenure appointment and recruitment. I wish to bring to your attention that all appointments and recruitments made in the public services of Ghana after 7th December 2024 are not in compliance with established good governance practices and principles. Accordingly, all heads of government institutions are hereby requested to take the necessary steps to annul any such appointment or recruitment and submit comprehensive report on the actions taken to this office by 17th February 2025. Your cooperation in the matter is highly appreciated. That's signed Chief of Staff Julius Debrah. Now, this is the statement that was issued by Dr. Mahmoud Bami on the dismissal of public service workers. Now, it says, when Ghanaians voted for change in 2024 general elections, it manifested the desire to continue with the national development, albeit with different people at the helm of affairs. It was within this spirit that I gave an early concession speech urging all Ghanaians to support our new president as he attempts to make his contribution to the cumulative progress successive governments have chalked over the years. Since assuming office, however, the government of President Mahama has pursued a series of actions targeting Ghanaians who were legitimately employed during the previous administration. It is ironic that a party which campaigned on the wings of jobs for the Ghanaians, or for all Ghanaians, is arbitrarily dismissing the same Ghanaians, rendering them jobless, just because a different government employ them to put their talents to bear on the nation's development and income to cater for themselves and their families. The least a party that campaign on jobs could do under conditions of unemployment is to also innovate and create jobs rather than dismiss people. Furthermore, there is a general atmosphere of insecurity with attacks on journalists, the use of our military to raid the homes of former government officials and communities, as well as mobs attacking innocent individuals and state institutions. There is no reset by repeating or escalating what may have happened in the past. Therefore, I call on His Excellency President Mahama to be a president for all Ghanaians by putting a stop to these developments, reversing the unfair dismissals and protecting all our citizens. All right. So let's now watch some of the reactions that were greeted the statement by the former vice president and also the former presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party.
State institutions have been issuing termination letters, revoking appointments, and it is causing a lot of trauma to the youth of the country who have been employed by the states. Mr. Speaker, I have seen letters from the GRA, from Ghana Water, from Gridco, and of particular concern is Ghana Health Service. In our own parliament here, recruitment started as far back as June, July, August. It's only around January that some people receive their appointment letters. They go through interview, do aptitude tests, have to pass medicals. So, knowing Honorable Julius Deborah, perhaps he meant well, and this is somebody I respect. I do not think that the intent of this letter was for state institutions to dismiss, revoke appointment. I believe that perhaps some clarity would have to be given that our countrymen and women, our youth, are being sent home. They went to office, they were asked to come home with these letters. Where do they find food to eat? How do they feed their families? How do they feed themselves? What is going to be their future? These workers are all citizens of Ghana, and like all Ghanaians, have rights which must be protected.
I served as a member of the transition team, and I recall that during that period there was a mad rush to employ people. Even after a party had lost an election and was on its way out, after December 7th, we saw ministers in a hurry to have people interviewed and taken through the processes so that they could be officially served with employment letters. And at the transition team meetings, joint meetings, we raised issues. We told our counterparts who were outgoing ministers that that practice must stop, because a number of issues are implicated. One, we all know that you must have fiscal space before you take decisions to employ people. You are leaving, we are coming in. We haven't told you that the public money that is available, we want to commit it to paying workers. So you cannot clock the fiscal space and then leave us with problems that we cannot deal with. And insisted that so long as they were in office until January 7th, they were the validly established government of the Republic of Ghana, and they will do whatever pleases them. And so they were going to recruit. I was in the meetings. If you engage in such recklessness and you go and you know that you are leaving office, you know you are leaving office, and you decide to load the public sector with workers, that will make it difficult for the incoming government. What do you expect? What do you expect? I think that what the Chief of Staff has done is proper. It is consistent with good governance, and we will review the recruitments that took place, and we will reverse them as indicated. There were no proper advertisements. People sat down and then just agreed among themselves, brought together family members, brought together foot soldiers, and then they went and recruited them. That was what happened. How many did you advertise?
So why are we then putting this particular recruitment under the ambit of politics? We are destroying this country, for goodness sake. People have gone through due process to be recruited. And then they start work, and the next morning the government comes and issues a fiat that go and stay home. I'm going to do a review to see whether it followed due process. Why don't you complete that process before coming up with a letter to terminate those you think did not go through due process? Why do you want to push everybody out? Do you know the number of people that are affected here? People were giving letters way before, even if it is after December 7th. The mandate of any government who is in power is on to 6 January 2024. Are we saying that any decision taken by a government prior to December 6th can be cancelled or revoked when a new government comes to power? Didn't the NDC make recruitment in 2016 when they lost election and power? Domolovo, wasn't he given a letter by His Excellency, the President, before he left? What informed all those appointments that were made between December 7th and January 6th when John Mahama was president number one?
But what was your what did you see at the time when Domilovo and the Sraj boss were appointed at the time?
If you say me as a person, as a party, if you put it as a party, of course we had concerns that the timing was wrong.
Okay.
It was the timing. We raised issues about timing. So if I raise time, okay, a new government has been given a mandate. It is coming in the next 1 month. And then you give a new appointment. This is a position of an auditor general.
Yeah.
You set a new auditor general at such a time around the 17th or 20-something of January. The new government is saying, I have an issue. You could have waited for me to come in and then go through a process and do it. When you did it, the government did not revoke the appointment. We expressed concern, but he was not revoked.
Have they been able to show us one that they did advertise? And for that matter, people in this country got the hint of it and they applied for that position. They should show us one. They did not do that. So, if you go ahead to call your party foot soldiers and faithfuls to come and give them employment, and you tell them to wait after the elections. Meanwhile, if you had won, MPP wouldn't have employed those people. They know. Because as you speak, the public purse is overstretched to the extent that salary payments and other things sometimes becomes difficult. Ask people who are in the public service that the date upon which salaries were paid some years ago, if the same day that they are experiencing today, that is not the case.
The International Labour Organization reports indicate that unemployment situation in Ghana increased by 3.60 in 2023 as against the previous year, that is 2.50, a phenomenon which keeps increasing by the day. With regards to the recent directive by the Chief of Staff in relation to the revocation of all appointments made after December 7, I'm on the streets of Accra to speak to the general public to get a reaction to the directive.
In my opinion, I would say that it is not good for our leaders or politicians to come and then play games with the citizens. I don't think it's a good decision. Yeah, allow the guys, the youth to work and then find a way to create more employment for the youth. So if you do this, you've already added to the unemployment situation in the country.
Being employed after December 7th is like, because the party is going off power, they want to put their people in the employment system. That is why they did that. So it seems the NDC want to take those people out because of the political propaganda.
I believe it's on the right course, because if for any reason you were to do recruitment or you were to appoint people into the government sector, it should have been done before the elections. So doing it after the elections, I think, is politically motivated. So what the Chief of Staff has done is on the right course.
It's a good opinion, though, but what I wanted to say is that most of the university graduates are home, not like they are not doing anything because of job vacancies and all that. So I support the fact that they will revoke all those in power who brought protocols.
It is indeed a mixed reaction from the general public with regards to the directive by the Chief of Staff. Others have the strong view that the situation is going to compound the already existing unemployment situation in the country, whilst others have the strong view that it's going to promote transparency and sanitize the system. I'm Eko Sechi Saki reporting for Metro News, Accra.
All right, so we're building momentum to what definitely or promises to be a very interesting conversation today. So the videos we've just watched are videos of the issue that I raised earlier about the Chief of Staff's directive for persons who were recruited post-December 7. to have the appointments terminated because it was not in line with good governance practice. And also a case of bad faith, which was exhibited by the then outgoing government, as according to the Chief of Staff. Now, let's also show you some videos of the second topic, which has to do with the 10% increment in 10% increments in public sector workers, those who are under the single spine salary structure, and also the national daily minimum wage, which has also been increased by 10%. Now, let's watch some reactions on that as well.
This marks the second wage adjustment in less than a year. The latest pay rise follows a significant 23% salary adjustment in 2024, which was aimed at cushioning workers against the rising cost of living. President Mahama personally engaged with union representatives to secure their support for the increase, underscoring the government's commitment to easing financial burdens amid economic challenges. The Finance Minister, Dr. Kezia Latu-Forson, and Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Abdul Rashid Pelpo, were also present at the meeting. Minister of Labour, Jobs and Employment, Rashid Pelpo, in his announcement, said the increment takes effect on March 1, 2025. The last salary increase for public sector workers in Ghana was in 2024, when the government approved a 23% raise to adjust for the cost of living and economic conditions. The wage hike is expected to bring relief to thousands of public sector employees. In line with this, all establishments, institutions and organizations whose daily minimum wages fall below the new rate have been directed to make the necessary adjustment.
One thing that is a cardinal principle for us is to tell the truth at all times. We all knew the economy was in crisis, but some of the things I'm discovering myself, it's been a criminal handling of our economy. And Ghana is a crime scene, actually, because how a government can have been so reckless, I cannot understand. But we're faced with a reality, and our options are very few. We can behave like the ostrich and hide our heads in the sand and let the economy crash. But then what effect will it have on Ghanaian households and everybody? And so I've told him, I said, cut expenditure as much as you like. Even we ourselves in Office of Government Machinery, cut as much of our budget as you like, because we all must make those sacrifices. A certain distrust of the political class has arisen, because it's like when everybody else is tightening their belts, the political class is loosening its belts. But I want to assure you that we're all going to tighten our belts, and there will be no wasteful expenditure. It is said that we create and share. And so let's start cooking the meal now so that we can share when we have created. But right now, the meal is not only insufficient, the cooking pot is even leaking. And so I just appeal to you that let's temper our demands for this year. And once we get out of the woods, we've set good targets to bring inflation down so that the cost of everything will come down. We've set targets to grow the economy, to make things better. And when the cake is baked and it's bigger, we'll share bigger. We are proposing an independent emoluments committee that would set the incomes for everybody from the president right down to the ordinary laborer. We are prepared to walk this journey with you, but I just appeal to you that let's reach agreement on this one so that we use this year as the year of correction. And then after we've corrected, we'll see how the economy continues to go. Once the economy moves in the direction that we are all hoping for, we all, if we have an independent emoluments committee, maybe if you suggest 35%, I'll support you because it will affect my pay too.
All right, so this is Inside Pages on Metro Television. So I think the die is cast, and we're going to kickstart the conversation now. My guests are here with us, and They would help us navigate around these vexed issues that we intend to look at. So 10% increments in public sector wages, those under single spine salary structure, and then also 10% increase in the daily minimum wage. But of course, in a criminally handled economy, as the president said, he said he's uncovering a lot of things that were done so badly or so criminally under the previous administration in terms of how they handled the economy. And so part of the reasons why he is begging Labour, or he's pleading with Labour for Labour to sort of, take it easy on the government, so that the government will be able to, government will be able to work with them as partners in national development. And that, once we begin to grow the cake and we develop the cake and it gets bigger, they will also, he doesn't mind even if they take a 35% increase in their salary. So joining us this morning is resource persons, my very, very able resource persons who've taken time off their very, very busy schedule to join us. Mr. Fred Agbanyo is the MP for the Guan constituency. He is, I want to say good morning to you, and thank you very much for joining us on Inside
Good morning,
Pages.
my brother.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure having you. And also, Mr. George Isi is the NPP, is a member of the NPP's communications team, and also a former spokesperson or PRO for NADMO, a National Disaster Management Organization. Big George, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, my brother. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for your time. And also our analyst, an independent analyst indeed, Dr. Gaddafi Saibu, who is the president and CEO of ICAPA, which is Institute for Comparative African Policy Analysis. Good morning and assalamu alaikum. It's good to see you. Yeah, and I hope you're doing well, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Last week you were here, and the feedback was absolutely impressive. I mean, not many people actually had heard about you, but what they don't know is that you've been based in Germany for a very long time, and you haven't been in town for that long, and so it's hard to take people like us to convince you to start sharing your vast knowledge in many fields of expertise to the how do you call it, to the benefit of our listening public or our viewing public. So thank you very much for that, and we're hoping that would enjoy you a bit more today.
And then if you want him to head a state enterprise, you want to pay him 2,000.
We were having a very interesting conversation off air. No, maybe I'll start with this. It would be a very interesting way of ushering in the conversation about 10% increase in the public sector salary. My argument is simple. That if we say as a state that we are broke, the economy is in a mess, and that there's huge disparities in public sector workers' salary. So if you take somebody who works at, say, SNIT, right, or you take someone who works at, say, SIC, someone who works at, say, GOIL, and so on and so forth. If you look at the kinds of salaries that these chaps are earning, some 100 and something, 150,000, 120,000, some 90,000, and so on, and then we're paying our ministers 25,000, 30,000 Ghana cedis. Something doesn't add up. If we're all saying that we're broke, we all agree that the country is broke, then let's be prepared to make some sacrifices in terms of how much salary we're going to earn. But we cannot say we're broke, and yet some persons are earning 100 and something thousand, some 200 and something thousand, and yet others are earning salaries that are very, very, very pulsating. And George, you are saying that you don't agree with me?
Thank you. Good morning, Mauro. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to Dr. and Honorable MP for Guan. I've always said very deservedly so. He's actually worked in the space, and he's actually gotten the reward and appreciation from his constituents, and I'm happy for him. Good morning to our viewers as well. Mauro, the issue of emoluments, that's why we have a single spine, that was meant to address. You see, when we're having the off-camera discussion, I told you it ain't going to happen, right?
That's what you said.
Yes,
you're very pessimistic about it.
You get, because we've been there, we've done single spine salary restructuring and all those premium and everything, university lecturers, whatever. We did all the market premium survey, everything was done. And then we said we're putting them. Up to now, there are disparities in the salary. You saw, just that's what we are saying. That somebody is taking over 77,000 a month, okay? And somebody is taking over 100,000 and other things. But my issue is that if you want people to operate within a certain sector in the public sector or public service, you need to poach from the private sector. You just gave us the resume of Doctor, and it's impressive. Now you want to poach him from Germany, his base, to Ghana. You need him to be able to transform a certain power state. You get it? Now, what are the terms that will make it that attractive to get him to leave his base in Germany to come down to Ghana to help restructure the institution you want him to take over? Right. You need to put things on the table that will be, enticing, okay? He may be nationalistic, patriotic, and will want to come and serve his country, fine. But he has responsibilities as well. So you need to have it a win-win situation to make him leave what he's doing in Germany to come down here. There are some from the United States, UK, and others who will come down to take responsibility of state enterprises and co. We want them to be profitable. That's how come they give them the KPIs, the Key Performance Index. They need to meet certain targets to be able to transform the organizations. Once you do that, you have the engagement with them, then these are the targets we want you to meet. If you're able to meet that, these are the salaries we are putting on the table. Again, there's the issue, possibility of, say, somebody, the managing director of Ghana Commercial Bank, okay, or Agricultural Development Bank. You want him to go there, and he's looking at all the money transactional issues and go, and then you say you are going to pay him 20,000 cedis. Okay, is it something that will maybe, because the president did say that we create, is in the banking balance, let's create and share. So with that spirit, he knows he's creating this much. He's making the establishment very profitable and then contributing to the GDP of the economy. How much he's pushing onto the national kitty. And yet you are giving him something that is not, we agreed on the set that, members of parliament, ministers of states and course, emoluments are way below some of these CEOs and co. It's true, but it depends on the issues they are dealing with, what targets you've given them, and how they are meeting those targets to help in the economic development of the country. You get it? So you need to attract them. I've said it earlier, in the United States, they poach individuals from the private sector, okay, to the public sector. And then if you do that, you must meet them, if not fully, halfway, so that they'll be able to radically transform the state institution you want. And in fact, they achieve results a lot, okay? Because the government, once they've given you that and they've given you the conditions they want, and they want you to also meet, the targets they set. And that is what props up state institutions and establishment. So the emolument issues must be looked at carefully. Otherwise, you will not attract the professionals, the distinguished professionals who can transform the institutions of states. Otherwise, they prefer to be in the private sector. How many lawyers are ready and willing to be state prosecutors? Okay, it's difficult to attract them. They prefer to be in private practice so they can make their money. But sometimes you need some of them into the state institutions to be able to radically transform those institutions. Those are some of the things that compel state governments to, meet some of the conditions. I'm not saying it's the best, because the disparity, the variance in salaries is too much. It is true. It is very, very true. When we heard that somebody takes about 120, is it 44,000? The highest paid state pension, over 144,000 a month. And the least paid is somewhere around less than 1,000 cedis. You get it? Even after the adjustments and co were made. So we need to look at all these. That was supposed to have been addressed by the single spine salary structure. Unfortunately, you and I know that we've not achieved that. We are still at there. Yes, the president has promised to set up a committee, a emoluments committee, right? And I said I have my doubts if they will achieve their goal.
You say it won't go anywhere.
It's not going to work. They will meet, they will do the talking, take all the T's and co. And whatever report they give, Moru, I tell you, it will be difficult to implement.
I see. I have some follow-up questions, but I'm not going to let me get Fred to also give me his take on this. Fred, even before we look at the 10% increase in public sector workers, we'll come back to that. This is just I call an icebreaker.
Yes.
You know, I don't know what you think. Just brief general thoughts before we come to the main substantive issue of 10% salary increments for public sector workers. I mean, do you also agree with me that the disparity is still huge? We need to look at it, or you're going to go by what he said?
Well, Moro, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here this morning. Let me say good morning to my colleagues and our viewers out there, especially my constituents in the South area, the good people of Sandro Kofi Akpafo, Lolobi and Likpe, a place I chose to describe as a republic within a republic. Moro, as for the issue of disparities in salaries and conditions of service of people in this country, something that we have discuss time with that number.
Yeah.
And we all agree that it is not appropriate. And I believe it was the reason why the single spine, for instance, salary structure was introduced.
Yeah.
That you attended the same university, you sat in the same class, you read the same courses, you came out the same year. Arguably, maybe you even got a better class than somebody did. Then because somebody decided or you got employment at the Bank of Ghana, and then you didn't get any after several years of struggling, you decided maybe to go and work or to go and teach, all right? Or to go and work. Which other company can I mention? And then by the time you realize your colleague that enters SNIT or Bank of Ghana after 6 months can even afford to buy a plot of land to start putting up a house, when you cannot even pay your rent, let alone even money to even pick a car to the office. Definitely, it creates some form of apathy. So you go to work, the laugh you are supposed to exhibit at the workplace, the willingness to commit yourself to work, definitely will not be there. And so I thought that a single spine salary was really going to resolve that issue. Unfortunately, it didn't resolve it. As we said, if you check the salaries of people who are heading most of these state institutions, my brother, it's not a joke. People are taking good money, $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, and what have you.
$25,000 a month.
$25,000 a month. If you convert it to cedis, that is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
The president's salary is not anything close to that. The minister's salary is not anything close to that. The MP salary, I'm told, is barely 15,000 Ghana cedis. If I have to travel to my constituency on a weekend, on average, I'll spend about 4,000 just on fuel. Just on fuel. And so, really, it's a problem. It's something that we all need to look at. I believe that when you go out there in advanced countries, before people's conditions of services are determined as well as salaries, there are a number of factors that comes into play. They want to find out what is the average cost of rent in the country, what is the cost of electricity, what is the cost of water, what is the cost of transportation, and then feeding and everything is factored into it before salaries and minimum wages are pegged. But look at our situation. So somebody describes years past that we are magicians and we live like magicians. Because how on earth somebody who earns 5,000 a month, meanwhile at the end of the month his expenditure is in excess of 20,000 Ghana cedis. So the question is, where is the 15,000 Ghana cedis come from? So if you say you want to fight corruption in the society, you want to fight corruption at the workplaces, these are the things you need to be looking at. Because there's no way to rent a room now, say Medina in Accra here, a single room in Accra here, you are not paying anything less than 500 Ghana cedis a month.
Yeah.
Right? Electricity, if you have a fridge, you have a fan, electricity, you are not paying anything less than 300 Ghana cedis a month. Your water bill will come at 150 Ghana cedis. If your office in Accra, your transportation in and out, put together more than 500 Ghana cedis a month. Your feeding hasn't come in yet. And so, really, your expenditure far outsees the money you are earning. So, the question is, where is the rest of the money coming from? 2 things are likely to happen here. So, I'll go to work, save energy, and then I'll go to work late, or I'll leave the office very early because I have to get a second job. Because there's no way that single job can take care of me. Or that when I get into the office, I start looking at where I can get additional money. And this is where this corruption issue comes into play. So it's a subject we need to discuss. Can we continue to argue that our economy is not up there, there's no money, and so government will continue to pretend that it is paying the people, and the people continue to pretend that they are also working? At the end of the day, who will suffer? Because when I get to the office, and I am not thinking of how I'll get money to pay my children's school fees, I'm not thinking of how I'll get money to pay rent, I'm not thinking of how I'll get money to do the basic things that I need to be able to survive as a human being, then of course you can expect my very best in terms of performance. But when I am there and my landlord is sending me messages and I don't even know how to get money to get back home, I have interacted with people who have closed from the office and they have to walk back home. Trust me, my brother. They have to walk back home. Because I get to a point where you are even so shy, you can't even go around borrowing money again from people. I know people who are working, by the time the month ends, almost 70% of their money is gone back to pay for food staffs. You know, teachers, talk to a lot of them, they'll tell you. So there's a David there who sells food staff, they'll go and take fish on credit, they'll take tomatoes on credit, they'll take it on credit. As soon as the money comes, it goes there. How can you live a dignified life in a situation like this? And so it's a conversation that we need to all have. I heard the president, when he interacted with the labor union, saying that, listen, even me, as a president, what the state is paying me as a president cannot take me home. You know, and so what do we do? How do we grow the economy? And I think that maybe we'll come to the substantive issue, but really, this country, Ghana, shouldn't be where we are.
Right.
God has endowed us with so much. What do we need as a nation to develop? Is it gold you want? Is it diamond you want? Is it oil you want? Look at the arable lands we have. Look at the fresh water we have. Look at the sunshine. So how come we cannot expand, grow this economy so that we can live and feel comfortable? You know, so it's a major discussion, and it's, see, you watch people, parliament say, oh, MPs are not sitting on their desk. You can't sit on your desk all the time. You can't. Because every minute, a call is coming to your phone. It's somebody is sick, somebody have this, blah, blah. You need to be sending money to people. Will you sit in the chamber every day? How are you able to raise the money to do all those things? And so you see people running around, trying to put other things together so they'll be able to support those who are in need. And so for me, let us come back. If the single spend salary thing has not worked properly, let's find a way. I am not saying that those who are earning those monies we are mentioning about themselves are comfortable. Because if you talk to them, they will not necessarily rent maybe in Adenta. They will rent at East Legon Hills, or they will rent, you know, go and find out, rent at that place. They pay in dollars. You know, yesterday I passed through to say hello to a friend somewhere. He lives in just 2-bedroom apartment around East Legon, and they are paying $800 a month. 800, convert $800 into cities today and see how much that is. Electricity hasn't come in yet. Water hasn't come in yet. And all of that. So,
but aren't they given accommodation as part of their conditions of service? Most of these guys who work in these state.
Yeah, but the people who work at that level, they have government bungalows, they have vehicles, they are likely to have free fuel, they are likely to have house guest allowance, house guest allowance,
the person won't
some
rent.
telephone, and you know. So, and again, we need those category of people.
I mean, they may not have houses in, say, the East Cantonments.
Oh, but they don't live in ordinary people's areas. Whichever way, find out. All of them live. The houses are located at
Posh,
least
in very
posh
very
your rich area, the cantonment area. You find out all of them. They live at good places.
So their take home is exclusive.
I don't know. That I don't know.
Maybe how the salary structure
maybe
is.
the $20,000 we are talking about, 25,000 includes all this. I don't know.
Okay.
So we need to find
we
out.
may have to take a
But
closer
the
look
point
at it.
is, at the end of the month, at the end of the fiscal year, we should be able to go back and say, let us assess the work you have done in that institution and see if it measures up with what you are earning. You can't have a state institution that is always running deficits, always in debt, and yet the chief executive and the people who live there are taking huge salary. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All right? You should be able to prove to us that this salary I'm earning, this is what I'm giving back to the state.
So you see, so then that then sort of dismisses the argument that George A.C. made earlier, which is that these state institutions are expected to be run properly.
That's the expectation.
So that they can, yes, with KPIs and so on, so that they will be able to churn out positive outcomes.
That's right.
To merit or to justify how much they are being paid.
That's right.
Unfortunately, if you listen to someone like Mr. Stephen Asamoah Boateng when he took over SEGA, he's been consistently complaining about how much profits, how much losses some of these state institutions
losses,
are actually churning out. And yet, if you juxtapose that against how much they are earning by way of salaries and conditions of service, you realize that there's something doesn't add up.
So it's as if they only work to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
The state really doesn't benefit anything. Bank of Ghana runs into deficit.
Yes.
You know, they run into deficit.
Check how much the Central Bank of Ghana is taking.
It's taking, look at the money it's taking. Cocoa Board was almost on his knees, but look at the money the people were taking. Go and check their residence and everything. So it's a major conversation that we really need to sit down around the table, have and see how we can find a solution.
In any case, my counter argument is that doesn't the minister have a KPI? I mean, as we speak, there are KPIs that are being drafted for all ministers, deputy ministers, and how do you call it, appointees generally.
Yeah.
So everybody has a KPI. Again, the argument about people with special expertise in a certain area who don't come cheap, fair point. But my point is that you are not going to work in the private sector. So let's say, Mr. George AC, you have a certain expertise in a certain area, and you're being asked to come and work, say, with a state enterprise organization. It is true that you have a certain expertise and you don't come cheap. But once you accept, the role is advertised, okay, by the Public Services Commission, and you are interested in taking it up, I'm thinking that ab initio, you must know that it's public service. There's an element of public service. So if I were taking, say, $30,000 when I was working with, say, Ernst & Young, also PricewaterhouseCoopers, or say maybe whichever company we're talking about, the Swiss bank or whatever it is. Once you've decided that you're going to work with a Ghanaian company, okay, and it's a public, office, you cannot, for me, in all honesty and in all fairness, be expecting the same $30,000 that you're being paid when you say at Deloitte and Touche.
Oh, well, of course.
That's what I'm just thinking. There are people, and nationalism.
There are people out there who have really done some sacrifice when it comes to what you are describing.
With the $20,000?
I know people like Dr. Spiogaba, right?
Okay.
When he was working
Commonwealth,
go and check how much money he was earning.
Telecommunications organization.
Right? But he was willing and ready to let go of that money, return home to come and help Ghana. So there are a few people who have really sacrificed to come and serve Ghana, and especially
Fred, I think that for us to be able to appreciate the level of sacrifice we're talking about, it must be relative to our current circumstances.
I agree.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Agree.
Yes, I agree with you that in principle people are making stuff, but if you look at it within the context of the state of the economy, okay, the conversation we're having about rationalizing, how do you call it, emoluments. I mean, I still think they can make a bit more sacrifice.
No, but of course,
that's just my opinion.
We have had people who came into public office and said, you know what, I'm not going to take salary. They made public announcements. But what they were we saw what happened, right? We saw what happened. So some of those things that look like sacrifices really are just
they may be making it up in other ways.
Oh yes. They were making
let me pick Dr. Gaddafi's. I don't know. I mean, Doc, you have worked in Germany for so many years. You've taught there. If we needed to come and teach, say, at the University of Ghana, Legon, and let's say in Germany you were earning 10,000 euros or 20,000 euros a month, how low would you be able to? How low can you come for you to take up a job, a teaching job at, say, University of Ghana, Legon, or say KNUST? I'll use University of Ghana because that's my alma mater. But how low would you come? And what will be your argument for saying that perhaps I want my 20,000 euros. I don't want to come down. Otherwise, I'll stay in my Germany with my wife and kids. I don't know. You can put this in context for us.
Thank you very much, Moro. Let me take also the opportunity to say good morning to your cherished listeners, viewers, and then also to my people from Bulong, Kumbungu constituency, and also Gambaga from the northeast. Yes, you've asked a question. So you've pegged it at 20,000. Assuming I was earning 20,000 euros.
Yes.
And then
that's how much you're earning.
No, assuming.
Oh, now I know.
Assuming.
Yeah. Just for the sake of argument.
And then you are asked to take, for example, maybe a teaching position in the University of Ghana. So this what accounts for salaries, I mean, in Germany. He has said it. So first of all, I would peg it between somewhere 7,000 euros to 10,000.
Okay, a month.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the amount that
Which is
half of that.
All right.
Because
I mean,
and this is what accounts for it.
Okay.
So, for example, if you take, let's say, 5,000, if you take 5,250 euros in Germany, okay, and you were positioned in a place, for example, like Bonn, I mean, where I worked, if you were positioned in a place like Bonn, and then you have to pay for a 3-bedroom apartment in Bonn, the lowest you will get will be around 1,500 euros.
Okay.
And then taxes. For example, the tax amount of the 5,250, your net would be like 3,500.
Okay.
Out of the 5,250 in Germany. And then, so you take net 3,500, and then you are paying rent for 1,500 euros already. So you are left with your take-home pay, averagely would have been around 2,000. So you get the point. And then if you are a single, or just an upcoming graduate, a young graduate, maybe you can spend, for example, let's just say foodstuff, 500 euros a month.
Okay.
Or, between 350 to 500.
Right.
So basically, you would be left with, let's say, 1,500 out of 5,000 and something euros.
Okay.
So this is why I say if you are offered a position in Ghana, maybe if you go, 6,000 euros to between 6,000 to 7,000 to 10,000 should be a decent salary for someone who was earning like 20,000 in Europe and then to come to Ghana, because the living conditions here are not the same.
That's true.
And then, I mean, if you were taking 10,000 euros, you would be able to save apparently maybe more than what you would save out of the 20,000 euros you were earning in Germany.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I say this with regards to also the exchange rate.
Of course.
So with this, I mean, you are able to pay for your rent, decent accommodation, and all that. But also, you know, with salary comes, you shouldn't look at it just only with the income that flows into your account.
Yeah.
If you work in Europe, for example, in Germany, maybe you have this kind of social welfare services. So if you have kids, you don't pay school fees for your kids also. I mean, this out of this amount that I said, you don't pay for your kids' school fees. In fact, they actually even give children child allowances. Every month, each child takes something. So that also cushions people who have families, couples. And the tax also comes with your status. If you are single, you pay high tax, and then if you are married without children, you pay more than a single person. And then if you have children, you pay less.
Okay.
So if you have children, you pay less. And if you have a wife without children, you pay less than somebody who doesn't have a wife.
Okay.
And then, so this is how it goes.
Okay.
So I would peg it, I think University of Ghana, between 6,000 and 10,000 euros should be enough for you to motivate someone from Europe to come down to...
Really? Otherwise, you won't accept it?
Otherwise, it will be too little.
Unattractive.
It will be unattractive. It will be unattractive.
Yeah, but
I mean...
You're Ghanaian.
No, what?
Yes,
Ghanaians
yes,
must not eat.
Ghanaian.
Ghanaians must not eat.
Come and help us more. I'm taking 7,000, 800,000 euros.
So Ghanaians must not go to school.
Look, but he just argued in what in economics you call the purchasing power parity. And of course, I mean, he put the two together, purchasing power parity and the cost of living.
Yeah, exactly.
I think these are two important, very critical parameters.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not going to rent that same apartment you're talking about in Bonn.
Yeah.
Which you're saying, say $1,500 US dollars.
Yeah.
I won't rent that same apartment here in Ghana for $1,500 US dollars.
It depends on the area you want to stay anyway.
Well, I don't know where you're born.
I mean, and
would you call it a high-end?
No.
Europe,
So in Germany,
it's
not a high end. The thing is that so this variation is not really common in Germany.
Yeah.
Everywhere is the same, and this
same.
is also the problem here.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are disgruntled.
My point is, Doc,
so
we can find a
everybody
place at
stays
Oyarifa.
in a place like Cantonment.
Okay, so Doc, we can find a place at Oyarifa. If you have $500, you can get a nice place there.
So have you factored in the transportation costs? Have you factored in the traffic you have to stay in and all that?
A nice car.
No, but I think that there's a point that Doc made that we need to pay attention to. About the social measures that is put in place out there.
Okay.
See, we are overburdened. The dependency rate in our country is very high.
I agree.
And we have not put any social mitigation measures in place or safety nets in place
to cushion our people.
To cushion the people who are working. So you are working. We are talking about maybe this 5,000 Ghana cedis that you are earning as a nurse, as a teacher.
Yeah.
You have 2 or 3 kids. Government doesn't give them any form of support.
Yeah.
You have to pay their fees. You have to pay their feeding. You have to clothe them. You have to do everything for this kids.
Yeah.
Your retired mother or your aged mother is in the village. Your aged father is in the village. Your uncles and brothers and siblings. Everybody is banking on this 5,000 that you are earning. How does it work?
That's true.
And so these are the things we need to do. And that is why, for me, I am thinking of a situation where even while people are going to school, this thing that we used to call vacation jobs should be readily available even when you close from school. A young boy in GSS, in XS, can run to a poultry farm somewhere, just go and do cleaning, do some fumigation there. Every day, he smacks some 5 cedis, some 10 cedis. At the end of the week, he raised some money. At least to be able to buy his own basic things that doesn't need to rely on the parents again. So we need to really sit down and be very, very creative. Because the reason why money is nothing. It is what you use the money for.
Yeah, but you see, Fred, these kinds of jobs that you're talking about, that if in Europe, people will do it willingly and happily, but once they come back home, they think it's quote unquote dirty.
No, the difference is that in Europe, the money they will give to you is not measured by the kind of job you are doing. So you can have a situation where a plumber is even earning better money.
Yes.
Maybe a professional is working somewhere else.
That's true. In fact, they earn more.
They earn more
than the so-called doctor, the traditional.
But if you tell me to go and be a Ghana here, the people work the hardest.
Yes, they earn less.
They earn less.
That's the irony.
That's the irony. The people who are really, you understand?
No, exactly. I get it.
The people who are working the hardest, they earn less.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So let Doc, because Doc was on. Yeah, Doc, as for Doc, he's broken my heart. He says, if you don't give him 10,000 euros, you come and teach at University of Ghana.
Yeah.
6,000 to
6,000 to 10.
No, he gave a range.
Exactly. I mean, also because this goes with the variation of accommodation types that we have here. But I mean, like he said, in Europe, there's dignity of labor.
Sure.
And this is the most important thing. And like you said, it's not also sometimes, often, it's not all about the money. Also, I mean, there's insecurity. So, for example, just leaving Germany and coming to Ghana here, there are a lot of factors that you account to, and that also sometimes necessitate this kind of request for high salaries or whatever, because you look at security. I mean, here, with all this salary, people earn 20,000 euros and all that in Germany, and they don't even have a car. There's no need for it, because you have the public transport, and you can go to work. They give you a ticket from the office, I mean, your workplace. And, I mean, my boss, who doesn't have a car, the last time she came, we were here in October, she even saw a car at Newtown, and she said, oh, this is the car, in fact, they've been asking her to buy, that if she wants to buy a car. But this is somebody who has been working for a very long in the system and earns good money, but she doesn't see the need to have a car. So, and then the insecurity, I mean, this is a place death is very common. I mean, car accidents, everything. People have left Europe and they've come here, and all of a sudden you hear that he was involved in some sort of accident. So people, I mean, factor a lot of things.
Poor medical services.
Poor medical services and insurance, and also even the pension, the retirement package. Yeah. So this tax that I've talked about, I mean, they take huge tax of your money because, I mean, they reserve a lot of it for your pension. and also to cater for some sort of job loss.
Yeah.
So in Germany, if you lose your job, I mean, if you are fired by termination or whatever, there's this thing that we call job loss money.
Yeah.
That they give you always sometimes even 70% of your salary. So sometimes and this also depends on how long you have worked in the public sector.
Yeah.
So if you have worked maybe for 3 years, you can take it for up to 6 months,
Okay.
just to give you some sort of, to settle down and to look for the next job. And also to cater for imbalances or this kind of emergencies in your family. But here, if you are working and then one day they fire you or your contract is terminated, what happens?
You're on your own. You're on your own.
So there are a lot of support system.
Yeah, the support system is very strong.
Exactly, very, very strong.
Look at this man.
But
he works with
actually, no, my friend, actually,
he works at one money. The money has lost power.
You know,
and
you know what? That's what actually deepens their sense of patriotism towards their country, their love for country, because of some of these interventions. Anyway, so you're still watching Inside Pages on Metro Television. Please keep watching.
% salary adjustment.
Fire pomudi ni agobi Ghana fu ni age efi say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice
me de go me jollof mu ni mi still ahodoma e ma ne dance
darling the barbecue they go on sankofa natural spices and one you use 100% natural said the happen
Adofo mamu nye huge mistake sankofa natural spices the
FDA ejedi nkratu yatu.
You the answer to my prayer. You with me everywhere. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need tonight. Give me shelter from the rain. You breathe life in me again. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need to know. Tonight.
Let's go. All right, sorry about that. So this is Inside Pages on the Metro Television. I'm here with Dr. Gaddafi Ahmed, who is a political scientist and also, well, you can call him a Pan-Africanist as well. I'm also here with Mr. Fred Agbenyo, who is the Member of Parliament for the Guan constituency, and Honorable Fred Agbenyo is the Member of Parliament for... Actually, it's supposed to be Fred Agbenyo, the Honorable Member of Parliament. That's how it's supposed to be. Fred Agbenyo, the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Guan constituency, popularly known as Sal. You know, in fact, he argues that it actually should be Sal and not Guan. But he's going to push that in Parliament, and we can't wait. When he does that, it will get all of us talking and having a conversation about whether indeed that is what it should be or not. And also, Mr. George Isi is a member of the NPP's communications team and also a former PRO of NADMO. We're having a very interesting conversation. In fact, it's a very interesting perspective that we're trying to bring to bear on the 10% salary increments that has just been announced by the Tripartite Committee. 10% of that. So there are two things: 10% salary increments for all public sector workers under the National Single Spine Salary Structure. And then there's another 10% increments on the daily minimum wage. So it's two strands, it's two in one. And so that's about, we're trying to look at how we can rationalize emoluments, say salaries and wages, in a way that someone doesn't feel that they're being paid too less, and someone doesn't feel they're paying too more. But we differ in opinion as to how we can do this rationalization, because in doing that, we're also being careful not to disincentivize persons who would want to come and serve in this country But then you're asking them to over-sacrifice or to overcompensate for that, and then we have to overcompensate for that. So that's the angle we're looking at. So I'll just take their general views on the 10%, good or bad. And again, the state of the economy. The president tells us the state of the economy is in a mess. When the Dar Strait, the economy has tanked, and the economy is looking south. Well, we heard that before the elections, and so question is, why is the president telling us again? What is he seeking to achieve by telling us that the economy is in a mess? Again, if you look at the outcome of the elections, everybody will tell you that the economy played a critical role. All the the polls that were conducted will tell you that Ghanaians were complaining bitterly about the economy. So really, why is the president repeating this? Especially when he said that he's not going to open any book of lamentations. He's just going to go ahead and fix the problem. So really, what's happening? I'll start with Mr. George AC on this matter. George, first of all, 10% salary increment. So if you were at NADMO, would you have benefited from it? If you're still at NADMO as the PRO, you would have benefited from this 10%. Yeah, because you fall under the Article 71, as you know. Anyway, so your general thoughts about it.
Yeah, thank you. But before I touch on that, most of the challenges that we talk about with high salary disparities and Honorable Fred Agbenyo did say about it is because they are dollar indexed.
Oh,
you get it. Most people, as you say, is dollar indexed. So when he's coming, he's computing it in dollars. Or you are talking CDs. You get it. So anything he will do, you'll be converting
the CD.
It's part of it.
Actually impacts on how much we pay them.
So it's dollar indexed. So when when he's coming to the negotiating table, that's what he has in his head. You talking the CDs, he's doing the conversions.
Yeah, but why have we agreed? Why have we agreed to
it? Even in our hotels, don't we pay dollars?
This can be only pretending.
There are most hotels, top class hotels.
You go there, we're discouraging it.
No, the rate, when you get there, the reception, they give it to you, it's all in dollars.
The rents at every place in dollars. We're only pretending.
Now let's come to
I get it.
Let's come to the matter problem.
Because in dollars, it's more. It's really it's chicken change.
That's why he was saying he's ready to come down to 6,000.
He didn't talk about 6,000 CDs, so he said euros.
No, euros. So 6,000 to 10,000. And you have done the conversion already.
In the US, a lot of people earn $10,000, $15,000.
And you're fine.
Yeah, fine. It's no money, right? Okay,
it's big money.
You
know
get
what I
it.
mean? But
But here it's big money.
Yeah, it's big money.
So, yeah, now let's come to the minimum wage issues. Workers, as Honorable Fred said something that you factor a lot of things into it before determining the wages and salaries of workers.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at the average distance that they cover to where they work, cost of living, food items, utilities, and all that. But it's like in our part, we don't even factor those things in. We just go to the negotiating tables and then we engage, and then we as we're speaking, our minimum wage is 19.97. Okay. Which is less than 600 CDs. I understand it's about 599, which is less than 600 CDs a month for the. You see, it's to guide especially people operating in the private sector. You get not to go below that to protect people who go to work there. Otherwise, people can be paying people 200 CDs. Even in spite of this, people make those payments. Yeah. But once you are reported, the law will be, will catch you and it will deal with you. So this to protect workers there. That's why it's a tripartite. Government is there, employers are there, and then the labor unions are there. We got there. So yesterday we arrived at, is it yesterday or 2 days?
It was 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. I understand the president himself went to sit in, and we arrived at the 10%. You see, post-election, any election, after election, and there's a change in government, the workforce are ready to be a bit magnanimous, okay, and they give the government a chance. If you remember, Professor Mills came in, Kufuor had almost concluded on the single spine. Ghanaian workers give 1 year or something for him to settle and then come back to the negotiating table, and that was good for him to make his destiny. Just last year, 2023, we did a salary increment of, is it 30%?
It was 35%.
No, 30. Yeah.
3%.
No, I'm coming. 2023. Yes, that was 30%.
Because I actually have the data.
Yes, 2024, it was 23% first half, and then 25% second half.
Okay.
Even that, the Professor Jampos and co were not satisfied with that. They were better understood because it was a political season and you can bargain for a better option and all that. But thereafter, and in spite of that, all of us were aware of the economic challenges that we were in. But the government, in spite of all of that, was able to meet this with workers and then implemented that and paid workers. Now, by the end of the year 2024, Moro, there's been, we are recovering because I'm going to speak with data on that. And then we see whether the president's issue of criminally managed economy, I disagree. I'm sorry, but it's an excuse he's making for possibly failure to meet some expectations. Otherwise, an economy that first quarter grew by 4.8%. In spite of the crisis, we've been in difficult times, but 2024 first quarter 4.8, second quarter 7.0%, third quarter 7.2%, and there's a projection that end year growth will be 6.3%. Okay, that will be, I believe, by March we'll have that data out. So, compared to an economy that he handed over to us, which grew at about 3.4. And before that, the 2 years subsequent to that, growth was 2.2 and then 2.8 before the 3.4%. So how then do you say this is a criminally managed economy? DDEP, we've gone into domestic debt exchange program and all that. And we had paid 3 chunks of that. And in fact, there's been buffer for the payment of the fourth tranche. I've heard the communications minister saying no buffer and co.
So you're right. 2022
yes,
was 30%.
30%, yes.
2022, so 2024 was 23%.
First half.
And then 25% second half.
Yes.
2020 was 15%.
Yes.
But 2021 there was only a 4%.
Yes, 4%.
Between 4% and 15% interim premium, which was
about 4. We actually did it about 4.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
That's fine.
Because
that's
then the next, I think
that's
why
right.
7.
And interestingly, when you came to power,
2017,
yours was far lower, as you said, because usually the labor is more understanding.
Labor amenable,
so 12.5%.
Yes. So these are the issues, and I was okay when Labour agreed to the 10%, because at least you must let the government settle and then be able to kickstart. They need to look at the facts of the economy, all the indices and everything. And there's an engagement with the IMF. Let them see the details of that before the implementation of their own program. You get it? So I was happy when Labour agreed that it should be 10%, and His Excellency. But I thought the politics that His Excellency, well, it's maybe to get the Labour to, appreciate the issues. But what I would say as a politician, and I would say, look, Your Excellency, power has been given to you. People have criminally mismanaged certain sectors of the economy. You are clothed with the powers to identify the things and prosecute them. Okay, so what's the big deal about that?
It don't necessarily be a prosecutable of, let's say, a decision or action or activity.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a prosecutable one.
So then let us know. Okay,
for instance,
I've heard another top economist that is working with them.
If you accuse the former finance minister of recklessly borrowing, you can't go and prosecute him for that.
So let's know, what do you mean by recklessly borrowing? What do you mean by that? Okay. Because then he will also then explain, why they took certain decisions.
True.
You get it? So, and look, we are running an executive presidency with the parliament there, certain approvals of them. I've made the issue, I've got the issues that I don't understand why the Saglame issue should be discontinued. Because parliament approved affordable housing of $40,000 per unit.
Okay, you go to build it at 187,500 per unit because you were to put up 5,000 and you put out 1,506 more. It translates to about 187,000. That is not affordable anywhere. You get it? Not even in the United States, not even in Germany.
Right.
You get it? Because you are targeting the middle class. You get it? And so that's why it's at 40,000. Now you're building it at 187,000. It's not affordable. So you must come and answer. Because once Parliament has approved it, if there's any cost variance, you go back to Parliament. Is that not what the process is? So that's the issue. But I think the negotiation has been good. It's moved on fast. I must admit that. And then some are saying the presence of the president. Well, it may add something. I think it was the last day or so, to get Labour to appreciate. But that magnanimity is already there with Labour. But the politicization of the issues is also another thing that I thought, well, it will make the other side also come. That's why you see when I came with data to talk about figures and co, which doesn't portend that the economy is as bad as, our opponents will want the nation to know. But I understand the politics of it. Later, when the ties settle, they are coming to come up with their budget. You get it? And before we left office, there was this budget presentation. They gave them about 68.1 billion. You get it for the first 3 months, the first quarter. And governance is a continuum, a going concern. There's revenue points and all that. All these things will be brought in for them to be able to run the state. So I'm happy with the 10% initial stage, but not too happy because there was a government that gave 25% and people still were not satisfied. I understand the atmosphere and the environment there. Today, this is it. Hoping that we'll be able to meet it, the government settles, and then going forward, negotiations will be better to improve upon things. The last one, Moro. We did speak about the cushioning, as Doctor said, in other jurisdictions. This jurisdiction too started some of the cushioning with the education. The free SHS issue is part to support parents on the education of their children at the a bit higher level, So that's when this government is also promised the first year support system. All these things are meant to cushion the worker and parents in the country. It's a good thing that we need to encourage.
All right. Fred.
Moro, let me just start off from where he landed. Out there in Europe and America, when they are doing these things, they don't do it because they want to score any political points. They do it because they have conducted a research and they have data they are holding, and they believe that when they do it, truly and really, it will cushion the people. If you cite free SHS as an example, if my daughter goes to school, maybe primary school now, and I'm paying 3,000 maybe a term as a school fees, and this girl now gets to secondary school, where I was supposed to be paying 1,000 Ghana cedis, and government comes in and say, you know what, I'm going to pay that 1,000 Ghana cedis for you, don't pay again. And then the girl now goes to stay in school for a month, come back to stay in school in the house for 4 months, and so now I have to recruit a private teacher that I'm paying maybe 1,500 Ghana cedis to. What have you done for me? How have you cushioned me? How have you helped me? Do you understand? So most of our policies are not really forward-looking. There's too much politicking in it. We don't do it with that consciousness that indeed we want to solve a problem. That's what the problem is. Now, coming back to the substantive issue of the 10% increment, whether it's good or not, I have said money is paper. Money is only good when you measure it against its value. The purchasing power of the money is what determines whether some money is good or not. If you increase workers' salary by 50%, and the inflation is moving at 51, 54%, you have not done anything. It is zero. At a point in this country in 2023, inflation was
54.1, December 2022.
Hold it. I'm just making a point.
Yeah, but he's making a point.
When
I wanted to hear his figures for 2022. Yeah, that's
when you came into office, in 2017, inflation was around 15%, right?
Yes.
At a point in this country when you were governing, inflation got to more than 50%.
Yes.
And so if you say we have increased workers' salary by 20%, 25%, 30%, and so they should applaud us. When that increment does not substantially reflect in their purchasing power and it doesn't benefit them in any way, why should they applaud you? Because at the time we were giving that 35%, rent was going up by some 50%. At the time we were giving them 35%, lorry fares were going up by some 50 or 60%. At the time we were giving them that 35%, go and check food inflation. The price of food and food items were going up. And so the currency was valueless. It didn't mean anything. You understand? We are not saying that where we are now, we have resolved the issue. What we are working towards now is to bring inflation down. Workers agree 10% will not be enough. Even today we sit in this country now. Tomorrow, if you increase salaries by even 100%, it will still not make any substantial difference. Go and check when the single spine salary was introduced. You know, the white paper was signed on the 1st of January 2009, and then we have to start implementation a year after 2010 thereabout. Some workers' salary moved up by 200%, especially the people who are elected in the university and all that. 100%, 200%. But did it really impact them that much? And so for me, I want to thank Labour, which they have always done. Yesterday I was listening to Reverend Fojo sort of trying to attack them, that when we gave them 25%, they were not happy with it. Somebody's offering 10%, they're happy. No. They are rational human beings. They live in the country. They know what is going on. And that is why I agree with my brother is that we should be careful with the comments we run, especially about what the president said, about the fact that this country was managed, in a very, in a very criminal way, so to speak. Because where he sits, the information that is available to him, the documents he is seeing, you and I are not privy to them as of now. And so for a president to come to that conclusion, I'm sure he has seen something that is so certain, something that is really painful. And you and I know all the things were here as rumors prior to the 2024 elections. For the first time in our history, and I always continue to refer to the Bank of Ghana, the bank was virtually collapsing. At the same time, the bank was spending about $250 million in building a so-called headquarters. At the same time, the bank was printing money to government without even recourse to parliament. Over 80 billion Ghana cedis. And we're borrowing, and we cannot even put the borrowing to anything tangible. That the money we have borrowed, this is what we are using it for. And you have a finance minister who then sat in office, who prior to that told us that, you know what, I am not going to take salaries. I'm going to work for Ghana for free. Now he uses his bank, the data bank. Anytime he goes to borrow from abroad, they are the advisors. And then they were holding a percentage of whatever money that they borrowed. How best can you describe a situation like that?
But he's only a shareholder of Data Bank. He doesn't own it.
My brother, can we stop this semantics? Can we stop?
Data Bank was advising.
Hold it. You see, that is why we always talk about conflict of interest.
It's a state.
Hold it. That is why we always talk about what? Conflict of interest. The fact that that bank, can you allow me to land, please?
Yes, honorable.
That's why you lost your job. Now you don't have any security.
I thought you were my brother.
No, you don't have any security. That's the problem.
Stop teasing me.
I'm not teasing you. Why can I tease my brother? I care so much. Even though you didn't take care of him, me, I will do.
You know, somebody said, you are not my brother. We are not from the same region. Have you heard that?
And so some of the things that, yes, Data Bank may have the capacity. They might have done it in the past. But to the extent that
there's a relationship with that bank
that you establish, this is your bank. You can say, well, I became finance minister, I'm not just a shareholder. But we all know, we are in this country. Why? Don't we know what is going on? If Moro is my biological brother and I'm running a business with him, and because I've got my MP, I say, okay, Moro, now my hands are not in that business. Doesn't mean that I don't have any interest? What are you saying? Why are we behaving like this? We are lying to ourselves.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Let's call a spade a spade.
All right, so please continue.
So the point I'm making, the point I'm making is that we can say whatever it is legally to make an argument, but people were benefiting from this test. And so where the president is, he knows what has come to his knowledge.
Okay.
And for him to have arrived at that conclusion. Okay. Once again, I want to thank labor. And like the president said, 10% really cannot solve the problem of labor as we speak now. We need to grow this economy. We need to expand the economy. We need to make sure that people can live and live good. And for me, the most important thing will be the social safety nets that people are using out there. If we can get it right, I remember when we were growing up, in institutions like SNEET, Cocoa Board, they have their own buses that early in the morning, they'll go and pick their workers from Dansuma and the rest to the office. When they close, they take them back home. And so you don't have to use your own car, buy fuel, and be running around. You know, we need to get back to that time.
Get back to basics.
You know, those basics, you know, where people, transportation is no longer too much of a headache for you. You know, even food items. We used to have departmental shops where, and Nkrumah and the rest, where you can now go there, go and even get food from the state, maybe you on some credit, or they deduct it from your salary. And so you know your food issue, you know, is taken care of. And so whatever money comes into your hand, you know what to do with it. And as I've said, this whole educational policies trying to help people and all, brilliant concept. But we must do it with a genuine mindset that indeed we want to help the society. Right. It must not be the politicking as usual. It doesn't help anybody.
All right, so
Doctor, I beg you 1 second.
Yeah.
It's pro-poor. How many parents in Ghana can afford that 3,000 he's talking of sending the kids to that private school? No. I said a boy came to Mfantsipim school. Okay, more. When the free listing, in fact, I helped him to get that place. And when he came, the parents were going. You know how much they gave him? 50 Ghana.
For what?
To care for some of the food and then transportation back after vacation. I nearly went. You get it? But for the free this day, he wouldn't, a brilliant boy. He wouldn't have benefited from secondary. So these things are there to cushion the poor.
Moro.
Not you.
Moro.
You get it? So
Moro,
the parents who appreciate and they don't know. No, he said it doesn't matter.
No,
3,000 you pay.
No, you didn't listen to me.
You get it?
Social, Moro, listen. Social intervention.
Some people don't even go for extra classes at all. And then they pass.
I see, listen. Social interventions are meant to cushion especially the ordinary people and poor society.
The vulnerable in society.
And vulnerable in society. Hold it.
Example is a non-starter.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that the policy was nowhere targeted.
Yes.
The policy was nowhere targeted. We were wasting money on people who didn't waste money on. I heard your own finance minister at the time, Ken Oforiatta, on national television, who questioned that. I am the finance minister of this country. Are you suggesting to me, hold it, are you suggesting to me that if my son go to Achimota school, as the finance minister of the Republic of Ghana, I cannot pay fees? And that I need government of Ghana.
Tomorrow,
hold it.
Class at Mfantsipim one day, CMB scholarship wasn't coming, so they were driving those beneficiaries of CMB scholarships home to bring money. I'm telling you, the students
you are not getting. You are not getting. You are not getting the point. You see, before Doc comes, you see, the point I'm making is that there are people in our society who genuinely are in need. There are brilliant but needy children out there who need government support. When you are into that intervention, you must have several other factors you are taking into account. Assuming you have announced, hold it, you announce that, okay, all the districts in our country, all the schools from the district level down there, we are going to implement free SHS. There are people who live in Accra here who really have no business living in Accra. If you announce that all the schools in the village, in the villages, they are free school, they will leave Accra today and go and stay there and start farming so that children can benefit from the free education. You are decongesting Accra. The pressure on social amenities, the traffic and everything. People are living. I'm saying that if you look at the policy holistically, you have.
His father, when there's free education, he left Achimota.
It was like coup d'etat. You know what they are saying is not true.
I'm sure you heard what the IMF has said.
Yes, that is not true.
The fee-free, how do you call it, education policy.
Yes.
It's a fantastic one, but it's been poorly
implemented. That's the truth.
That's what they are saying.
So
That's wrong.
Poorly implemented. No, well targeted.
Let's get on with our second. Doc, I know you would want to rather have a bite on the dismissals.
The 10%.
Or you still want to talk about the 10%? Otherwise, I want us to, because we have just 30 minutes. Or you want to have a bite on the 10%? Okay. General thoughts. Okay, sure.
Just to conclude on the discussions. I mean, generally, from all the discussions, what we should be thinking about, or the question we should be asking, is whether increment of salaries are just procedural establishments, or they are done to account for something in this country. This is what we should, the context within which we should be making this analysis. I mean, for example, you look at the last December, the inflation rate in December and then in January is the same. So what actually necessitated even these discussions about salary increment and all that? Now, if you look at it, I know in almost similar to Germany in the public sector, every year, in line with the experience of workers. So if you are hired every year, they are increased to a level. And then this level increment also comes with salary increases within the workers. So if you were maybe grade 5, I mean, I think every year or 2 years or so, your level increases. And this itself comes with salary increases. So these are some of the things that the nuances about salary increment that we need to discuss, so that, and then we can come to a conversation whereby we can suggest whether is it an established, is a procedural establishment that every year or every quarter or half of the year we should increase salary, or we shouldn't. What accounts for it? Should we increase when there's inflation, or should we increase salaries when there are emergencies like COVID to cater for economic hardships? So these are some of the perspectives that we are not looking at as a country, that sometimes when they increase, so maybe even the 10% was not even necessary. If we maybe if we put other perspectives, or we needed more. Or we needed more. So I would say we should put it within this context.
So I get the point you're making. I think, you see, for him, the basis and the factors leading to the increment must be a bit more deeper. The conversation must be a bit more deeper and nuanced than just, every year we just have to increase it, just because it's an administrative. Exactly. So I sort of get where you're coming from. In fact, you're not the only one who's saying this. I've heard Austin Gammon, who says this thing where we just increase for increasing sake is something we must look at. Can we look at productivity? Exactly. What is it that you're producing to merit the kind of increments that you're asking? But you see, Labour will also tell you that, look, we're asking for this increment because, look, what you are even paying us today is not something that is taking us home. So even before we talk about productivity, let's get to the starting point. Do you understand? Let's get to the starting point. For us, if to have earning 2,000 Ghana, that shouldn't even be the starting point. The starting point should be 3,000 even before we look at the productivity. So can we work upwards to the starting point, to the basics, before we look at productivity? So it's I don't know how to put it, but it's a very interesting conversation. And I agree with you that it's going to be a bit more thorough and deeper. Otherwise, workers will just say, well, I may go whether I produce or not. I know as for the following year, I'll get at the very minimum, my 10% will happen. But it doesn't have to be so. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic. And Derek, if you have the videos, then we have to do this as quick because we've talked about it all week. So I'm sure that a lot of the perspectives have already been shared and exhausted. So I'll just take your brief remarks on the termination or the annulment of the appointments that were made post December 7 and all the issues that have come up. In fact, as we speak, the national organizer of the party, MPP, he's gone to court. Before that, Nkom Visita Sefwa, who's the MP for OTAF, who also threatened he was going to go to court. We have heard the former vice president. And Derek, if the former vice president's statement, let me just quickly run through it so that would then, okay, you've seen this, all of you have seen it, so we don't need to read it again. But the vice president is saying, look, you should be creating jobs, not taking away, not terminating people's contracts and taking away their source of livelihood. I'll start again with Fred. Fred, with what the Vice President has said, Dr. Mahmoud Bami, on dismissal of public service workers, that's what we have. Look at this, the matter which is in court, and try and put it in perspective for us. I mean, why are you doing this? Why are you sacking people?
Well, I think that unemployment...
What crime have they committed?
Unemployment is a major phenomenon, especially in the third world. It's a problem that we definitely need to find a solution to. I know people who have completed even a university for more than 7-8 years. They're still in the house without a job.
Yeah.
I know people who have to just accept anything just because they must keep body and soul together. If you look at their qualification, the kind of things they are doing and what they are earning, it doesn't really measure up. And so employment issue is very, very key. Now, when NDC was campaigning for 2024 elections, one of the things that we pay particular attention to has to do with this issue of youth unemployment. And then we propose several things that we are going to do to make sure that people get work to do. It is for that reason we talk about bringing about this one job, 3 people, 3 times in a 24-hour economy. That once we roll these programs, we believe a lot more people will get work to do. And so I heard my brother, the other Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is saying that the passport office very soon, they'll start running a similar shift. Well, that doesn't make sense to me, really, that you apply for a passport and for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, the passport is not coming. You have to go and pay some guru boy somewhere so you can get it. If I am guaranteed that today maybe they are charging 100 Ghana cedis for a passport, if I'm told that, okay, if I pay 200 Ghana cedis, I can get my passport in 2 days, I'm willing to pay and get my passport in 2 days. What that means is that additional 100 Ghana that I'm paying could become salary that will be given to an additional worker so that in the night they will work. And so for me, it's a fantastic policy that I believe that when we roll it on board, it will help all of us. President Mahama swore an oath to protect the lives and citizens of this country. President Mahama is a very caring father. He's not here to punish anybody. And as the Constitution chapter 1 says, the sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of government are to be exercised in the manner and within the limit of laid down in this Constitution. The welfare of the people matters to the president. You see, it is not for nothing. In those days, when we finish teacher training college, in the nursing training college, you have automatic appointment. As soon as you complete school, even before your results come in, you are posted. When you are posted to go and teach, you will be on the allowance that you were taking when you were in school, the allowances. Once the results come in and you've passed all your papers, then they will graduate you onto a salary scale. That was the practice for nurses. That was the practice for teachers. It was the reason why a lot of people were interested in going there. It got to a point in this country, money to pay salary became a major issue. And so then we said, until we get clearance from the Ministry of Finance, we're not going to employ people. We have put ourselves under an IMF program. One of the concerns I've heard them read repeatedly is the fact that the public service is too...
it's bloated.
It's bloated. The number of people who are working in the public sector, vis-a-vis the returns we are getting, it doesn't measure up. And so we need to look at it. We need to streamline it. We have set up a law in this country that once you're a public servant in 60 years, you have to go on retirement. I am against this when you are 60 years. It's not as though you have any specialized, expertise that we can argue that when you leave the scene, we can't get anybody else to replace you. And so we start this thing they call contract. They give you 2 years contract, another 2 years contract. If we think that the people are still productive, they can still serve the country, let's go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's increase the age of retirement from 60 to maybe 65 years or to 70 years. But we can't make a law and they'll be hiding behind the same law and some form of favoritism. Go to the institution and see. Either those who have reduced their ages or either those who are 60 years, conveniently, they've been given, they are still at post. And young people who are very productive, hardworking, have completed institutes of learning and they're in their houses. The directive that was issued by the chief of staff is not to say that we are sacking you. It was only under MP for the first time I heard that when it comes to police recruitment, Moro, you're in this country. How often did you see adverts, even in the papers? Those who do police recruitment, it will be in the Daily Graphic. It will be in the Ghanaian Times. Ghanaians will go to their centers and go and justify themselves, and they are paid. We live in this country for 8 years. Every now and then, people are passing out from the training schools. I have heard allegedly people went for training for just 2 weeks. We have people within these institutions, and they call to tell you. Somebody came for training 1 week, he has passed out. He's a police officer. Somebody go to military training 1 month, he has passed out. And the way they were recruited. Later when we questioned, how come you are not advertising this recruitment? We were told that they did the recruitment, say maybe in 2000, and then they are going to training in batches. Meanwhile, you and I know that most of this recruitment, there are age limits. They're pleased to tell, for example, that when you are 22 years and above, maybe you cannot go at a certain level. I'm just using as I'm not sure of the exact age. And so somebody tries to enter when it's a month less the cut-off point. Now you said it's in a batch, you keep in the house for 3, 4, 5 years. He's 25, 26 years now. Then you are not taking him to training. We have heard of people who are 40 years and above who went to police service and fire service and what have you. And sometimes you see the pictures. And it's like, what is happening here? And so all we are seeking to do is to rationalize the system. I have seen, I've had on my phone, people have sent to me the time they submit the application letter, the time they were called for interview, and they went through the process. Some people went through the entire process long before the elections. I have heard of situations where people were recruited just after elections, and their employment letters were backdated. I don't know what is happening at the standard board. There are people who work there who have, I want to go and find out what is going on at the standard board. We heard about people who were promoted to certain levels when even their qualification and number of years they have served in those institutions are not up to that level yet. But because they are living and they perceive them to be people from maybe their stock, they quickly elevated them to level that they are not supposed to be.
Okay.
And so President Mahama said, we are coming to reset this country.
Okay.
I empathize and sympathize with my brothers and sisters who are going through this thing, or who have to pay the price as a result of the directive.
Yeah.
But the assurance we want to give them is that when they have finished the entire review, those who went through the due process and genuinely got the employment will be called back to work.
All right.
So they should just rest assured.
Okay. George.
Article 191 of the 1992 Constitution. A member of the public services shall not, A, be victimized or discriminated against. Okay, no. What's happening? You have it?
Yeah.
I went to touch it and it moved somewhere. 191. Yes, it's here. Victimize or discriminate. Oh, why? They don't want me to read it too. Fred Agweno doesn't want me to read it. I'll read only the B, so forgive me.
Whilst at it, Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. I totally agree with Dr. Gaddafi that some factors must be considered before certain increments are made in our wage bills. For example, take a look at the
191. 191. You have the hard copy.
Production sector, and I see.
Then read only the B.
Take a look at inflation. Inflation December 2024, and now it's almost the same.
Yes, B.
So why increase salaries for workers?
He wants to read it.
My brother, go to the ministries and check. My brother, go to the ministries and check for yourself. Workers work only to read newspapers. Others on phones, chatting with their lovers, and this is totally unacceptable. Something must be done about it. Please tell my brother, Honorable Fred Agbenyo, to look for me small or live, to look for me, and that and that I should send your contact to him. Okay. All right. So Alhaji Hadi, yes. Okay.
Member of the public service shall not. Is it B?
No, you read the okay. Give me the B alone. It's okay.
Dismissed or removed from office, or reduced in rank, or otherwise punished without just cause. My emphasis, just.
It's not your emphasis.
Cause.
That's what
I'm always saying that. Just cause. Without just cause. So we are
now
reading
we're going to
but
put
place
this
emphasis on the
in
word
proper
just
perspective.
cause.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You get it. Moro. He himself.
Why do you think this is important? Before you start.
Yes, it's important because people have been recruited through due process.
Just cause.
Yes, through due process.
Right.
You get it.
Right.
And he said it that he got information. Some
their processes, they've gone through it long, and it is true. More, before recruitment is done, there are 2 stages that are very important. One, the technical clearance. Which category of people you want to recruit and all that. Right. Then when that is satisfied, then you have the financial clearance. True or false? Right. That is what is done. And when the financial clearance is done, the green light is given for the process to begin. Okay? And that is what is done. And it's a process, it's not an event. Yeah. Some started from March.
True.
Yes. So they go, they come, they go, they come, until finally, yes, I personally, you see, people, it's a good question that based on morality, the timing is problematic. Based on morality, that one you can read, but morality is not the law. You get it? So you need to use the law to protect every citizen. Right. You get it? And it is true. The government is in place until midnight of 6th of January. That is the truth. I've made the example that hypothetically, Moro, let's assume there's an external aggression on the 17th of December. After the election, and there's a known this thing. You say the commander-in-chief of the army shouldn't take action? No. You get it? It is just good that we have the Transition Act. But that Transition Act doesn't give the incoming president any power. Right. Okay? Right. It's just for them to know the issues at stake. Okay? And what is happening so that they will be abreast with time. Okay. That is all. Okay? They don't have any executive power whatsoever to do anything. But it's still with the incumbent government. And they do things. They've gone through the process and they said, these people have gone through this process. We think they should be recruited and go. And some make the argument that, why? There's no financial commitment and it's going to be. No. But the outgoing government is given a budget for 68.1 billion for the first quarter. Okay? That has been put in place so that all these people have been factored into that. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. We are talking workers. We are talking workers. Worry, see what Honorable is doing too. The liabilities to left behind. It's all part. You get it. Every government inherits assets and liabilities. You get it. And so that's why initially I spoke about the growth trajectory. It's important, okay? And this government, the previous government, that we inherited economy of size about $52 billion, and by the time we were leaving, it was about $76 billion. You get it? And growing. We know they are also going to do what they have to do. So it's not fair to these people, especially those not the big these days, but these are ordinary citizens that have been recruited, especially when you've promised that you're going to create job opportunities for people, especially the 133 24-hour economy and co. We're waiting for that to happen. It's not fair because you are assuming that because they were recruited by these people, they may be the
that is so there are two categories of
that
people.
Is not wrong.
There are two categories of people.
Yes.
There are people who were regularly recruited.
Yes.
And I think as President Gwyneth said, he does not expect those who are regularly employed to be sacked. Because
have you seen registered nurses? No, he said now Kwachio Fosu has come to, I think there was a meeting and they've not Kwachio Fosu, the Minister for Health, my good friend Akando. Yes, I think he's engaged the registered nurses and they've laid down their tools. They've suspended because he's assured them that they will not be. Teachers have been recruited through due process. Why are you saying you're going to push them out? You get no politics. No, there's engagement. Engagement is good. So they've rescinded that. That is good. You get it. Now the issue, which one I get worried. These ordinary people, I don't think they should touch them. They should allow that. That's why the vice president is also rating into that. My own central regional secretary. Now he is not even a high-ranking person. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm a director somewhere in Co. So I know, I've psyched myself. There's a possibility I'll be pushed out.
Oh, there.
Oh yes. No, I'm not that. Listen. I'll tell you no, because our director general has not been appointed yet. No. You don't just. No, they've not written to my. Let me finish. About my regional secretary. It's not a major, a zonal manager. You say you've dismissed him because he's a secretary, and in the establishment, there's nothing like politicking there. Okay, politically exposed person.
Very careful not to politicize this subject.
Last one. No, there's politics in it. There's politics in it. No, the last one. No.
Of the things you did in 2017.
We have NBC guys all over.
If I want to get example of the things you did in 2017.
Allow me.
Finish this program.
No. The critical one that I thought we need to look at, like appointing the auditor general. Okay, those ones.
The president obtained permission from the incoming president.
No, he doesn't have that.
Go and find out.
No, you expect the incoming to say don't do it. No, he won't. Generally, we are nice to each other.
He sought his permission.
Why do you want to use that as an example?
Oh no.
But you use his age to sack. You didn't do that. You sack that.
His age is his age.
What is age?
You can go and change your age when you want to get job, and when you get job later, you say I've changed my age. Is it done in Germany?
I beg you 5 minutes. Your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
You are not a politician.
Yeah. Thank you. And
professors are very good with brevity.
Exactly. Interesting. No. So I will just go straight forward. There are three key issues involved here.
Okay.
So first of all, democracy, I'll just speak based on Baume's epistle. I'll pick some points there.
Yeah.
Democracy is supposed to give us an opportunity to build strong institutions. Unfortunately, in this country, because of the fear of political power, the electoral politics, the fear of winning or losing power, we've rather abused it. And this is this is actually what's happening. So the first thing that we have to look, when I say we've abused it, we've abused it in the sense that it has given us the opportunity to collapse so many things in the country, particularly to collapse even the recruitment process or the recruitment regime of the civil service. And this is why we are where we are. So Bawumia was, in his appeal, he's talking about democracy and good governance, appealing to the president and all that. So let's start it from this perspective. If we want to build a nation, we have to first of all start by building institutions. So first, what is the posture? The posture of, the immediate past administration in this issue? They didn't actually, they came and met it in 2017, and they used it to favor themselves. They didn't build any institution that actually would have suggested that the regime was interested in state building, to maybe to revamp the collapsing civil service or public service recruitment process. We didn't see it. So that should have, and the position then and now is a bit contradictory. And if we are going to build a nation and we continue this way, we won't go anywhere. So the point is that how are we even going to trust? How can we, the Ghanaians, trust that this appeal by Bawumia, if, for example, it is being heeded to by the current administration, when the MPP takes over, maybe some time to come, we won't experience reversal.
That's an interesting question.
So this is the first thing. The second thing is about the motivation of the recruitment. Honestly, the recruits, those who are supposedly dismissed people, I want to say that they are more like victims of they've become victims of the cunning posture of the MPP administration. What was the posture, the motivation? If you actually meant to supply jobs or to provide jobs for people, I think this should have been done earlier. At least, electoral campaign activities pick 6 months to elections. And I would suggest any well-meaning administration not to take any major initiative from the 6 months to elections. We didn't see this. And the second part of the motivation is that we can't even tell.
But if there are critical staff to be employed, why won't you do it?
And maybe that should be strongly justified.
Okay.
That should be strongly. I mean, exceptions could be made.
Okay.
But this with strong justification.
It's just a wholesale thing that you have.
Exactly, because this mass recruitment, were mass recruitment across so many institutions.
Yeah.
Okay, then the other thing that we look at it is that, because of the way the bitterness in our electoral politics, we do not even know whether the motivation was actually to distort the budgetary plans of the incoming administration. We can't tell. Because it's likely for them to they will inherit some of these problems. And bear in mind that we were going into elections, and even the MPP administration, the Bawumia-led MPP party, would have had different policies and have different budgetary plans. So this recruitment, how are they going to distort the current plans of the current administration? So all these perspectives should be looked at. Now, looking at the epistle, Bawumia talked about doing justice and right to all manners of people. To be honest, how was the recruitment process done? Did they go in line with the already existing recruitment regime that we have?
Okay.
These are all things that we should consider. Okay. Were they targeting party faithfuls? And you see, because we've been experiencing this, this country lately they've been talking a lot about the quality of public sector service delivery, and they are actually sometimes they pitch it against the graduates that we have. But no. You go to the societies and you see the top-notch graduates in our universities languishing. Because there is no, in the early days, civil service or public sector, they recruited top-notch university graduates. We don't see that.
Okay.
We don't see that. And this is a problem that we should look at. A lot of our talent, real talent, is sitting at home. Because they don't know anybody. Okay. Or because they are not strongly aligned party faithfuls. How are they going to balance this? Are we going to balance this? So for me, these are some of the main things that we should factor into when we are analyzing these recruitment processes. Okay. And then if we want to go forward, the Constitutional Review Committee or the people who have been just tasked now, I feel that they should come out with a design or a proposal on this to restrain our Constitution, to restrain governments to do it for any major recruitment, at least, even if not 6 months, 3 months to elections.
Okay.
So that recruitment cannot be done 3 months prior to elections, so that every electoral year we are aware of this. Okay. So this is how I'll put it.
Wow, I think I like this, and I've enjoyed this thoroughly. And I want to say a big thanks to Dr. Gaddafi Shaibu, who is, I want to get the name of your institution accurately, and so I wouldn't want to rush this. So Dr. Gaddafi Shaibu actually is the president and CEO of ICAPA, which is Institute for Comparative African Policy Analysis. Mr. George AC is the MPP Communications, an MPP Communications team member, and Mr. Fred Jangwanyo is the MP for...
you are not introducing me well. He's the director of communication of NADMO.
Okay,
please.
All right.
He does my brother well.
Especially having confirmed it on the show today that he's still around. Anyway, so yes, and MP
like
for
the IGP. I don't know my
MP for Boeing and MP for Guan, and that's Honorable Fred Agbanyo is also joined us this morning. But I want to say a big. Yes, I have a very important announcement to make. So tomorrow, my old man is celebrating his, I believe, his 66th birthday. Alhaji Suleiman Zacharias. Yes. He's celebrating. Young.
What is a young man?
Is it? Ajaboda, is it 67 or 66? 67, eh? It's 67.
Nobody will trip you today.
So he turned 67 today. So Alhaji Suleiman Zakari of Fadama, right here. It's within Okakwe Central. Yes, happy birthday to him. He's a strong man. Very strong man. At 67, you think he's 50 years. Anyway. See, I'm almost 50, but look at the way I look. Is it the blood? I'm almost 50, Anyway, so, yes. Anyway. Thank you very much for watching Inside Pages. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.